Hey everybody, it's Paul Esden Jr., aka Boy Green. Welcome to a mock draft Monday, and we are breaking new ground here. We've never done this before in our mock draft Monday segment. We've been doing a mock draft Monday ever since the Super Bowl. Every Monday we do something draft related, either bringing on guests talking about draft. I present you mock draft scenarios, or we talk all kinds of things, just mock drafts in general. But today we're joined by not one, two guests here on a mock draft Monday. We have NYJ Mike. You can follow him on Twitter at NYJ Mike, that very handle. And also we have NYJ Matt. NYJ_Matt. Are they brothers? Are they not? Steve Butabi, Doug Butabi, Night at the Roxbury. I don't know. We're going to get into all that here on the show, so let's bring them in. Again, we've never had multiple guests here on the show. First off, let's go to either NYJ Matt or Mike, both of them. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. That was a great intro.
Great intro. Yeah, we're ready to go.
Fired up. I'm gonna
Thank you so much.
run through a wall.
On the back for that one. Excellent. So, guys, let's first off, and of course, we've got to plug your guys' podcast, Broadway Jets. Guys, give us a little bit on the podcast. If fans are not following you yet, first off, I don't know why they wouldn't be, but if they're not, and also I see NYJ Matt is leading the Twitter following pissing contest here, 5,500 followers and change.
Kicking my ass.
2,700 for NYJ Mike. Not sure if that's a tender topic or not, but felt like necessary to bring that up.
It's not easy out here, man.
Yeah.
Matt started earlier. No, Matt's just bored to be a social media content person.
I mean, I was on Jets Twitter and Mike was too, but it was more or less we wanted to have a specified Jets account only, and we made it. I made mine about a year ago, and just out of nowhere, I guess some of the viral videos and the memes I made kind of blew up and got a pretty cool following. But yeah, we do the Broadway Jets podcast. We have a lot of fun with it, a lot of hypotheticals, crazy shit we do, but we have a good time, and usually it's informative takes, and we do it once a week. So that's pretty much it for Broadway Jets pod. I know Mike has some other stuff he does on his page. So, Mike, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I'll throw up some old videos, bring up the good times. A lot of Jets knowledge is stuck in my brain. So, any game, any week, any score, it's all in there, and it's fun to discuss on Jets Twitter. The Jets fans on Twitter are very knowledgeable. So there's a lot of good Jets fans. There's obviously some that are not so knowledgeable and great, but we appreciate all of our followers, and the dialogue that we have on Twitter is really good. I'll bring up any ridiculous game. I love like the 2014 Jets because they have Michael Vick and Chris Johnson and Percy Harvin, just random guys. So I say, remember the Chiefs game for 2014, and people are like, oh, I was in Kansas City. The Jets are like 1-7. They're like traveling to Kansas City to watch this game. So very fun. It's been a great time.
Well, let me ask you guys, because I get this question all the time. Are you guys brothers? Not brothers? What's going on there? So are we brothers? What's going on?
Confirmed, not brothers.
Confirmed, yeah, not brothers.
Boy. I probably should have left that unsaid so people could have speculated for many years to come. But nonetheless,
the cat's out of the bag.
NYJ Mike, everyone's been asking, so I had to throw it out there.
It's funny too because we have a brand now. Like people like do the NYJ clan. Like it's just NYJ. It's a very uncreative name. NYJ Mike and Matt. So, but we are not brothers. We are just great friends for many years. We're always not always, but we are very much on the same page with our takes. I think you'll see, and it's not like
is that organized? Or are you guys like, hey Matt, hey Mike? All right, guys, Sam Darnold. Let's do it, brother. Boom. And then you just run out there and do it? Or is it just natural that you guys have similar takes?
We're not like the Reddit guys who got together and, plan to destroy the hedge funds. We just, you'll see. Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll have some differing takes today, but usually we're pretty much on the same page. Our thought process.
And throughout this conversation, I'm just going to throw random trivia. Again, I'm trying to get you guys feeling the home field advantage here of your podcast. Again, I've heard it once, and people tell me it's a crazy podcast, unlike anything anyone can hear. So, again, you can find out for yourself. Go and listen to it after watching this show. So I'm just going to try to sprinkle in random trivia here. First off, throw it out here. I'll start off with you, Mike. So I'll give you each your own trivia. When did the Jets change their nickname from the Titans to the Jets? What was the year?
1964?
63.
63. And our quarterback was Dick Wood, which is hilarious.
Yeah, there you go. I give you the bonus points of getting the year wrong for that, so there you go. Very nice. So, okay, 1963 for that one. Anywho, let's dive back in here, and let's jump into some of this. So first off, the Sam Darnold thing. I guess we'll just start the show with it. Normally on Mock Draft Monday, we do mostly draft-related stuff, but quite frankly, this has a draft wrinkle to it for what the Jets could do with the number 2 overall pick. I'm going to be honest. Again, I was just saying this yesterday on my Play Like a Jet Zone show on Sundays. I'm staring at a Sam Darnold fathead immediately to my right. A diagonal right to me in this man cave here. I've got an autographed Sam Darnold hat. When he walked off the stage, he signed a Jets hat. As soon as he walked off the stage, in this NFL Instagram contest, they gave it away. And they said you have to, itch your back, scratch your belly, run around in a circle, and do something stupid, and you may have a chance. I'm like, all right, well, you shoot your shot. So I did it, and then Instagram sent me a DM and said, oh, my God, you won this hat. I said, no way. And then it got here and went, holy bleep, it got here. But so the point is, besides a weird flex, the point is that, quite frankly, we have an emotional connection to Sam Darnold, either buying memorabilia or when he was drafted, we're like, oh my God, Sam Darnold was not supposed to be here, and we drafted him. So I feel like a lot of Jet fans have a connection. But seemingly, and it's sick, there must be a lot of murderers and psychopaths among Jets fandom because they cut that line and pushed Sam Darnold off a cliff and didn't feel any different way about it. They're like, see ya, Sammy. And every Jet fan's like, hate Sam Darnold now. I don't know where this happened because with some of the other Jets quarterbacks in the past, and I'll give you guys both an opportunity to talk about this, eventually, whoever the Jets quarterback was, I love him at first, and they eroded me over time. Like Mark Sanchez, I went to a Jets-Bills game in Buffalo at the end of his tenure, and I just went, please, Sanchez, don't throw a pick. Pick six. Like, and what a sick place to get to, by the way, where that's what you're praying and hoping for. And like Geno Smith and all that. But with Sam Darnold, I have never reached that point where I'm like, oh my God, don't throw a pick. I've never gotten to that point. Again, he's had some rough moments. I'm not saying he's a perfect player by any means, but I don't know how we got to this point. Let's start off with you, Mike, and then we'll get Matt's take as well. Sam Darnold, what's the deal? Why does everyone hate Sam Darnold now?
You absolutely nailed it. So this is first of all, this is why it's smart not to talk about the draft first, because Matt and I are very big proponents, or at least I'll speak for myself, of keeping Sam and moving back in the draft. Obviously trading back from 2. So we were confused the whole year. Week 2, week 3, people are saying, draft Trevor Lawrence, tank. We're like, we are like 2 weeks away from people removed from people saying Sam is the savior of our franchise. So we pumped the brakes. We said, hey, look, let's wait till week 9 or 10, see how things are going. If the Jets are like 0-10, we can have that discussion. So we did. The Jets were 0-10. Sam didn't play well. He got hurt. The bum shoulder. Flacco came in, obviously didn't play so well either. Whatever. Jets are 0-10. We'll have the conversation. If Trevor Lawrence is there, Jets have the number 1 pick, we could take Trevor Lawrence. Now, how do we get to the point where we're taking another quarterback? A Zach Wilson, a Justin Fields. It just kept progressing to a point. And now a lot of Jets fans on Twitter are not only, calmly saying, hey, let's move on from Sam. He hasn't been so good. He hasn't played well. Here are the statistics. Here are the reasons why. It's Sam sucks. Fuck this guy. Let's take another quarterback. Like it all moved very quickly. The grass is not always greener on the other side. It's very disappointing. And we think that the Jets could salvage Sam a little bit. And I'll give you some stats and reasons why after, but it all moved very fast.
All right, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I think every argument with Darnold has to start with 1, you're a Jets fan first, a Darnold fan and a player fan second, and 2, Sam underperformed in year 3. Bar none, you have to make that a statement from the beginning. But in the areas that he couldn't control, the Jets ultimately failed him the entire year. Whether it be injuries happen, skill players not up to the average of the league, the worst head coach in the past decade, possibly in the past 2 decades in the NFL. There's reasons why Sam underperformed. And my thing is, I wish the take was, look, and Mike said it earlier, Darnold underperformed. We need a new quarterback in here. Not the dude sees ghosts. He's fucking terrible. Like, dude, like you were on this guy's side last year. So,
and this is our guy.
You can make the argument to take a quarterback at 2. I completely get it. You can make the argument, obviously, to trade for one of the guys like Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, that potentially could be available. But at number 2, you need to take a guy who's going to be a top 12 quarterback in this league. If you don't, you're setting your franchise back multiple years from a team who's been removed from the playoffs since 2010. And I know we'll get into the pick, but if you look at Zach Wilson, he wasn't a top 10 quarterback in any rankings prior to this year. And you can have the Joe Burrow year where you go nuts and you become that top 3 pick. I completely get that. But Justin Fields, I think, is now like the 4th quarterback on some people's list when the tier that he plays at and the 2 bad games in his entire college football career. I just think it's weird that we went to a place from, like Mike mentioned, week 2 of we want to tank immediately. Like those fans, I will never understand why you want to tank week 2 in the year and a guy going to year 3. But it's a tough argument on both sides. I think if you're able to get 2 firsts and 2 seconds for the 2nd overall pick and you stay in the top 10, you can make a very compelling argument that for Douglas to have that draft capital, you can run it back with Sam for 1 more year. And one more point, I know I'm talking a lot. The QB carousel right now is unlike anything in the NFL. You have Jared Goff, Matt Stafford moving around, Wilson's demanding a trade, Watson's gone. If you run it back with Sam year 4 and he's average, where you get 22 touchdowns, 15 picks, 3,400 yards, you still have so much capital that you build up and so much cap space that maybe you can try to move off Sam after year 4. And if you think Wilson and Fields are the top 10 quarterback, you have to take them. I just don't know if the Jets think that.
Right, I ripped the Giants in 2018 for not taking one of the top quarterbacks. It was a very good quarterback class, and they took Saquon Barkley. The Jets, no one even heard of Zach Wilson before 4 months ago, like Matt said. So now we have to alter our whole franchise. If you don't take Wilson at 2, you're an asshole. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I rather have the draft capital that you get from trading back from 2 or just picking at 2 than the slight money difference you gain from picking Wilson and not having Sam anymore. Because what are you going to get from Sam? Probably a 2. If you get a 1, I guess you change the conversation a little bit. Maybe the Redskins, the Washington football team would give a 1, but I'd rather have that draft capital. And Joe Douglas is all about the draft capital. And look, Sam Darnold, 2019, second half of the year, he goes 6-2. People will say the Jets played a soft schedule. I'll say he had the worst head coach we've ever seen that you agree with, right? Most people say Adam Gase is horrifying. So he goes 6-2. He throws 13 touchdowns, 4 picks. He throws for 243 yards a game. On a 16-game season, that's 26 touchdowns, 8 picks, 3,900 yards. So for the people that say Sam has never consistently played good football, that's incorrect. The guy has the ability. And then a lot of people go around on Twitter posting like flashy Sam highlights. People say, put a highlight of him throwing a pick. The reason you put these highlights is you supplement that 26 touchdown, 8 interception, 3,900 yard pace in 16 games with, oh my God, look what this guy can do, because he passes the eye test. So, and then a lot of people tweet out a graphic like, look, these quarterbacks for their first 4 years had this low of a passer rating. None of them have ever become good, except for Alex Smith is always like the one guy. First of all, Sam and Alex Smith have completely different playing styles, but Darnold does things that you don't see these guys. Like, I don't remember Blaine Gabbert ever lighting the world on fire with like a crazy highlight. What did Dwayne Haskins ever do? These guys are pieces of shit. Sam was a unbelievable prospect, was supposed to be the number 1 guy. The Jets got him at 3. Everyone said, suck for Sam, suck for Sam. Now we have Sam. Everyone loves Sam. 2 years in, he's an ascending player after year 2. Like I just mentioned, that second half of the year 2019, year 3 is a disaster. Is it time to give up? I would argue not. I think he has it in him to do it. I think Mike LaFleur is going to add 5 percentage points to Sam's completion percentage. The 49ers ran the most motion in the league last year, make a modern NFL offense. The Jets threw the ball at a historically low pace for a team that was trailing in games. Matt always likes to bring up that stat too. Sam Darnold, no quarterback threw the ball less than Darnold. If they played 10 games, no quarterback who played 10 games threw the ball less than Sam Darnold last year. I mean, unleash the guy. Let's fucking go. This is our guy. You know, get him out of the pocket. You know, run the ball, get that play action going, and then murder people with Sam. I'm hyped up about it, and it's very frustrating to me that people think it's impossible that this guy could be good in the league.
And to me, the thing that is also has to be noted here is his ability to overcome unbelievable scenarios. So we've already talked about Adam Gase being one of the worst coaches like in history. But what about Sam Darnold had mononucleosis? What? He had what? Mono that obviously at the beginning, like when someone said, I thought it was a sick joke when after week 1 and he was kind of weird and the whole Buffalo collapse, like, that was strange. Middle of the week, getting ready for Monday Night Football against the Browns. Yeah, he has mono, could be out forever. What
did Gay say? It's like number 14 has mono.
Yeah, you're right. Number 14 didn't even say his name.
So
number 14 is mono. could be out a bit. It could be out a bit. What? His entire season was. How could he possibly have had a right season there? And I believe that was the same season that I went to the Jets-Cowboys game. And he just happened to come back, and I got to see that beautiful. And I got to tell you guys, just a weird Darnold story here is I go to that Jets-Cowboys game. My dad, he's a diehard Cowboys fan, and somehow I'm sitting with all Cowboys fans. So that was an experience. But I'm just like, guys, Robbie Anderson, I'm going to tell you right now before the game, is about to burn you for a long-ass touchdown.
92
They're
yards.
like, yeah, who get Robbie, who, blah, blah, blah. Cowboys are giving me all this shit. And then I see Sam Darnold when they're by the goal line, and he dropped back. I see just his shoulders, and I'm watching from, like, I don't even remember where we were sitting. I had a picture from it, but I'm like, oh, my God, this is a touchdown. And they're like, what? And he drops back. I see he still has the ball. I'm like, oh, my God, Robbie's deep. And he hits him. I'm, like, fist pumping all these Cowboys fans. Just, no. And I'm like, yeah. Get that, Sammy! Eat some of that, boys! And oh man, that was great. That's just one moment. There's been several. The people talked about the crazy 49er runaround this year, or the Colts escape touchdown this year, which was great. And he obviously had the moments in his rookie year against the Texans, and then the Green Bay Packers game. There's so many games.
The Broncos game, the Colts game from 2018.
Yeah, that one. That was a phenomenal game. So I just don't get how we forget some of that. But I want to bring this up to you guys. So Joe Douglas had his press conference last week. And to me, I think it was significant that when they asked about Sam Darnold, he's like, oh, yeah, I'd take calls on him. And then if you go back to what he said when he was first hired, he's like, I'm not in the business of trading franchise quarterbacks. I wouldn't even pick up the phone for Sam Darnold. And then we fast forward, 18 months. And I was like, yeah, I'd take a call. To me, it seems significant that for the first time publicly he's ever said, I would take a call. Because here's the thing. The Jets are going to, because Robert Saleh is a new head coach, they start their offseason workout programs 2 weeks before anybody else. They do it on April 5th. That could be pretty awkward on April 5th because I don't think this thing's going to be decided by then. I think it's going to be close to the draft. Within 2 weeks of the draft, I think they're either going to keep Darnold and move on or do it a crazy Watson deal or whatever. But I want to ask you guys, do you guys think that's significant that Joe Douglas said for the first time publicly that he'd take calls on him? Because to me, I think you're throwing your quarterback in the wind, and his mind could be all messed up. To then turn around and say, yeah, we're going to stick with Darnold. He's cool. Like, if I'm Sam Darnold, I'm like, what the hell? You just took calls on me. I think that's different than Jamal Adams. It's a safety. Okay. Quarterback, I feel like it's different. We'll first go to you, Matt.
It's a very unique scenario. With Salah being a new head coach, the Jets can have players in the facility the first week of April. And what do you do with Darnold there? Do you bring him in to learn the playbook, right? He's still probably on the chopping block to be potentially traded. I think Douglas told Darnold after the year, we have to look at all options. The quarterback, we love you. We want you to be a Jet, but we have to do it. It's a business. And Darnold probably said, yep, get it. I'm going to California and going to the beach to play golf for a couple months. Now, if you're Douglas, you have to say that, I think. And it's tough to do. You can't always 100% commit. He 100% committed he wanted to make Jamal Adams a Jet for life. And then the words came back to bite him 2 months later. So I get why Douglas has to say we have to take calls on everyone. It's a very tough moment. You're right. It's a complete change from what he said a year ago. And I think, and I make this argument a lot, we see what happens on Sunday, but you don't see what happens Monday to Saturday. So if Douglas is there on the practice field and the coaches, and Darnold just doesn't have the command of the team, he's not making the plays in practice as well, you can start saying to yourself, week 11, you're like, all right, Darnold's struggling on the field. He looks lost in the practice field. He's not making the throws. If Douglas has that feeling and he doesn't think he can lead this team to a playoff appearance, you have to move off Darnold. Now, I think Douglas always believed that, especially last year, especially finishing 6-2 down the stretch. But when you go through what happened in 2020 and some of the games, and we talk about it a lot, Darnold went 3-4 straight games without a touchdown. Like, even with Adam Gase, he was able to score touchdowns in 2019. So did we lose something in Sam? Did something happen? And I don't think he's broken. There's a thing that he's broken beyond repair. Did something flip in 2020 that Douglas just thinks he can be great elsewhere, and this team, this franchise, he's not going to make it work?
Yeah.
All right, quick trivia question here, Matt. Now it's your time to get involved. Okay.
Feed me.
When's the last time the New York Jets won the AFC East?
2002.
All right, there you go.
9-7, baby.
A nice little softball there. Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, I agree because look, if there's everything is against Sam. I call it a perfect storm of shit. You have a mediocre, the people are saying, oh, the Jets receiving core with like Crowder, Rashad Perryman, and Mims. people, but most of the time they weren't even there for Sam. Like he had to play with Jehu Chiasson and Braxton Berrios and Chris Hogan and Josh Malone and Lawrence Cager. It's a disaster. And Chris Herndon's non-existent and Le'Veon Bell's cut, and it's Frank Gore's 95 years old. They're running wheel routes to him. But if you're Sam and you don't want Joe Douglas to pick up the phone, you can't throw for 9 touchdowns and 11 picks and 2,000 yards. You just can't do it. You have to be a little better with the situation. Like Matt said, 2019, Sam threw 19 touchdowns, 13 picks, 3,000 yards, 62% completion percentage. He's on pace on a 16-game pace for 3,700 yards, 24 touchdowns, and that's 62% number. So, again, like it would be easier. Sam didn't do anything to make it easier on himself in 2020. So if Joe Douglas is like, you can't not answer the phone if the guy has 9 touchdowns, 11 picks. You answer the phone. I'm hoping that Joe is drumming up interest for the number 2 pick, and the Jets are maybe going to take Zach Wilson or Justin Fields, and hopefully they just keep Sam and trade down for a ransom. But I get it.
Okay. Mike, trivia time. All right, here
Please.
we go. So this time you guys are going to pair up for this trivia, okay? So there is 2 trivia questions here within one, but we'll start with the first one. First off, and this one's for you, Mike. How many jersey numbers are retired for the Jets? Just how many are retired? You don't have to answer any other part of the question.
Wow.
Just how many are retired for the Jets?
That's a great question. Fuck. I'm just putting together because some guys aren't retired yet. What, like 5? 6?
That's right. 5.
5.
You nailed it. It's
Yeah.
5. Okay, now let's jump over to Matt. Name them.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was 5. Namath would be 1.
Yep.
Maynard 2.
Yep.
Gaston, no.
No.
Do we have Winston Hill?
No.
Fuck. All right, we're in trouble. We'll go Klecos 73.
Yep, of course. Yep. You got 2 more.
Fuck, Mike. What do we think?
Well, we just upgraded our minutes. That was nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who else is? I'm trying to think. What
There's
number?
one on offense and one on defense left.
Larry Grantham.
No. But that is a wildly, really good guess. I actually have an autographed picture of him in my office.
Shit. I'm trying to think what fucking numbers.
We can get this.
We have to get this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, one of them.
I actually thought Winston
super
Hill.
obvious. Yeah.
You should be able to easily get these.
One of them is not so obvious. I mean, you would have to really be thinking about it because of the circumstances. But
Curtis
one
Martin.
Oh, Dennis Byrd.
So wait, say that again, Matt.
Dennis Byrd.
Yeah. So you got it, Mike. Dennis Byrd is it. Obviously, despite his short playing career, we all know.
So then there's what's the guy in offense?
I think it might be Curtis Martin, but I think it's too soon.
It is Curtis Martin, 100%.
I did not think they retired it that soon. That's impressive.
Yeah. Revis will be retired.
Yeah, for 4 of the 5 guys, they were specifically retired it on a date. Like Namath, they did it in '85. Martin, they did it in 2012. Klecko, they did it 2004, and then Dennis Byrd 2012. There's no date listed for Don Maynard's, but his is retired as well. And also, in a weird way, for those who don't know, this may be a weird bit of trivia for the future. Weeb Eubank, his jacket is retired. So
yeah,
the Jets bomber jacket. Yeah.
So there you go. So that is retired. So there you go. Random. Yeah.
The Jets let ridiculous guys were number 24, like Philip Adams and Darius Raynaud.
So hopefully
so stupid.
soon joins that because that's insulting. Quite frankly, as soon as he left, they gave it to who is that
Dimitri
guy?
Patterson.
He
went AWOL.
Patterson, right? Isn't it the AWOL guy? So yeah, that's what I thought. That's
James Harden. James Harden got his number retired a week after he demanded a trade from the organization. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's tough to see. So all right, guys, let's dive back in. So like I said, I'll try to sprinkle in some creative trivia throughout this. But let's talk a little mock draft Monday. So we're here on a mock draft Monday. So let's get some draft stuff related here. So let's go with the number 2 pick. Guys, you can mock whatever you'd like at the number 2 pick. We'll do a round table. We'll kind of go around, and each of us can do it. Also, we will be doing 23 here in just a minute. So, all right, we'll start with you, Mike. Number 2 overall, mock it for me. It's just a mock draft Monday. Whatever you think. Jets at number 2, take who?
Can I trade?
Yeah, I'm all for trading, sure.
Yeah, I want to trade back with the Panthers. So
let me ask you this real quick. Please. I want to jump in and ask you. So the Panthers are at 8. would you consider double dipping? So you could trade back maybe once to Falcons at 4 or to Philly at 6 and then trade back again. Because I don't know, would you get more by double dipping going from 4 to 8 or from 2 to 4 or 2 to 6? Or would you just get it all in one by going to 8? Go ahead.
I think the way you maximize it if you do double dip, which is difficult to do because it really would have to all probably be on draft night, would be if a quarterback, let's say you go back to 4 with the Falcons, they take a quarterback, so they want a quarterback.
Sure.
And then now you have the 4th pick, you trade back to the Panthers, they also want a quarterback. Yeah. So both teams are trading up for their guy, so they're like all in would be the way to do it. But I mean, some of the trades over the last few years, Samini put out an article today, was cool. Yeah. Of these second picks getting traded. The Browns traded back to the, with what was it, the Falcons for the 8th pick.
The Eagles, right?
The Eagles was the
Carson Wentz deal. Yeah.
That's the Carson Wentz deal. They got the 8th pick. They got another 1. They got a future 2. They got the 2 that year. They got a future 4. I mean, it's 5 picks. Holy shit. So I would trade back. But if we're going to stay at 2, let's just, to make it simple, I would take, and this is unpopular, and there are people fight me with this on Twitter all the time, I would just take Penei Sewell and build a vicious offensive line. God. I get it. Look, people, the whole Ronnie Stanley thing, and it's gonna be tough to pay 2 tackles. I don't give a shit. Why can't we pay 2 tackles? What is it? So look, and then people bring up the Colts. They're paying Quentin Nelson and Anthony Costanzo, the left tackle. Oh, Quentin Nelson's not a tackle. Who gives a fuck? Pay both of them.
So what about the feelings and emotions? So let's talk about this, since this is one of the things I feel most passionate about this draft offseason. I'm ready to duke them up. So for me, what about the emotions, right? So one way or another, someone's getting boned. Now, I get it on the surface. Madden, hell yeah, draft Penei Sewell, plug him in. Hey, Penny, do you have any complaints about that? Oh, nothing? You're a video game? Okay, great, play right tackle. But, so Makai either jumps from left to right, and he's like, what the hell, man? Or Penny jumps to right. He's like, what the hell, man? So here it is. Here's the numbers. So I know you guys like stats. So here's stats for you. I averaged the top 5 left tackle salaries. I've averaged the top 5 right tackle salaries in the NFL right now. The difference on a per year basis is left tackles make over $4 million per year more than the top 5 right tackles. So that's obviously, you translate that over a big deal. We're talking crazy money, just from money perspective. But my question to you, and we'll break this down to pieces, emotionally. Mekhi Becton. So are you moving him to right? And I get it that Penei Sewell played right tackle in high school. Yippity-doo-dah. I get Mekhi Becton played right tackle in college. Sure. Okay. But what about them? Don't they understand that left tackle is a higher paid primo position? Won't it disrupt the emotions? Won't Mekhi Becton get messed up? We're
talking about feelings. Honestly, this is where this argument, because look, this is the example I use. The Cardinals drafted Isaiah Simmons with the 7th pick last year and did whatever the fuck they wanted with him. They didn't play him for the first half of the season. They put him at safety. So now the Jets
failure.
But that's what I'm saying. Who gives it? They do whatever they want. Isaiah Simmons' feelings got hurt because he plays safety. He's not gonna make as much money as a free safety as a pass rushing outside linebacker. Fuck him. The Jets are have been missed the place for 10 years. I have to sit back and say, oh, Penei Sewell's feelings are going to get hurt because he's playing right tackle. Fuck you. Go play right tackle. Make $16 million a year. You know what I mean?
There's an argument here.
And not that I'm not mad at
no.
the argument. It's fun because I don't know. I get it. Financially, there is a thing to be had, but I mean, it's a good problem to have in my opinion. And I rather have Sam Darnold and Penei Sewell than Zach Wilson and whatever we got for Sam. But I also rather trade back. For the record, I rather trade back.
Yeah, sure. So let me ask you first: if you draft Sewell, is Mekhi Becton moving over, or is Sewell moving over?
I keep Mekhi Becton at left tackle. He had a very solid season at left tackle. In the pros, Penei Sewell could prove himself in practice, and
And also, the other thing that I just want to throw out there is I don't love. So sure, he played it in high school, or Mekhi Becton played it in college. The intricacies of switching from left to right on Madden is just boop, boop, boop. He's playing right tackle. In terms of footwork and everything that goes into it, there's a bit more of a deeper grade there. And I don't just love to say, let's just figure it out at right. Like the Jets' history of drafting where they're supposed to play, it has been horrible in the 21st century. Let alone saying, why don't you mix it up? Just play some quarterback for us.
I mean, my counter to that is that Mekhi Becton, like you said, played right tackle in college. They switched him to left tackle. It's been great. So who knows? I mean, if it's that simple, but I hear you. I understand there are negatives to that, but if you have the second pick, you take Sewell, you go out and sign. There's a lot of interior offensive linemen that are available. Obviously, Thuney's the guy a lot of Jet fans want, but you have Brandon Shreve, you have Corey Linsley. Oh my God, you build an insane line, and then you beat the fuck out of people for 4 years.
I have to
and
make
then
a
you figure out
point
what happens.
on
Please, man.
Sewell. I have to make this point. So
Yeah.
there is a take, right, that you have to end up paying both of them.
Yeah.
The Jets have had 11 first-round picks before Mekhi Becton. The only one to get a second contract is Muhammad Wilkerson. So I don't understand. Like, yes, they need to hit, obviously, but if you're telling me I get to pay my first-round pick past their rookie contract, sign me up, because the Jets have not done it in a decade. So I think that's a huge point. 2011 was the last time a first-round pick got a second contract. It has to be an NFL record. It's unbelievable how bad they've been the first round. The Browns might be the only team to compete, but also it's a pre-draft conversation that you have with Penei Sewell. If you ask him, would you be comfortable playing right tackle in the NFL? If he says no, absolutely not, that guy's not a team player, and you're probably not going to take him with the second overall pick, the best player not named Trevor Lawrence. It's similar to how Lamar Jackson, when he came out, it's very different, quarterback versus wide receiver. But he said, if a team takes me a wide receiver, I'm not doing it. I'm playing a quarterback. So if a team was looking to move into wide receiver, they're not going to do it. So if the Jets are looking to move into right tackle, they're not going to take him if he's not that type of player that would swing over. But
one more point on this is that people talk all the time about quarterbacks' rookie deals. Why not a tackle's rookie deal? Tackles get paid similar to quarterback money. You know, you see like Laramie Tunsil's making what, 23 million a year.
Yeah.
So the Jets want to reset the quarterback clock by moving back from Sam to Zach Wilson, but we can't reset the tackle clock. Like, the Jets could build an insane team over the next 4 or 5 years if you have Becton and Sewell as your pillars of your offensive line, and then Darnold as quarterback, because, you know, obviously you can't take Sewell if you draft Zach Wilson. So, I mean, I'll go for it. I'll figure it out later. And like to Matt's point, you're not going to plan for failure where the Jets have not hit on these picks 11 out of 12 times. But what the fuck? I mean, just do it. Like, if this is the best guy, just do it. And it's a position of need, and it's one of the most important positions in football, even though left tackle is more important because the Jets have a right-handed quarterback. He's protecting the blind side. I will take Sewell. I will upgrade my offensive line in free agency, and I will create an identity on offense that the Jets haven't had since really the ground and pound days, 2010. I'm not saying the Jets should play ground and pound football. I'm saying that they could create an identity of having one of the better offensive lines in football.
And before we go to you, Matt, for your mock draft, I've got one more bit of trivia, and it's on this subject. And, hopefully, and this is the last one, but I'm hoping that you guys didn't see my video on Sunday at Play Like a Jet, because we talked about this trivia. So let's just go with this, okay? In the modern draft era, since 1970, how many teams, so in 51 years, to make it simple, how many teams in 51 years have used the second overall pick on a right tackle? What do you think?
Oh, God.
Wasn't these are the kinds of things you would know off the top of your head.
What about the Jokel like the weird year where Jokel went one? Robinson was a guard.
The problem is a lot of these like guys that get drafted end up playing right tackle. I feel like
Eric Fisher that weird year.
Fisher, but he plays left tackle.
But who went 2 that year?
Wasn't that?
I think it was 1-2, wasn't it?
Okay, yeah. I thought Greg Robinson went 2.
That was later.
I thought he was a different draft. But anywho, so just spit out a number. Who do you think? In 51 years, how many? Because you won't be able to go through all 50 years of the draft.
4.
I'll say 3.
Okay, so it's 4. In 51 years, only 4 teams have done it. So you nailed that. That's impressive.
Well,
and just as a side comment, all of them were busts. So we can kind of go through them all.
Yeah, but hold up. I have a statistical point back of that. So 4 out of 51 is 7%.
Yeah.
And right tackle is only 4.5% of all the positions in football.
Yeah.
So that's, more than average. You would take a right tackle as the number 2 pick.
But let me just say that, by the way, all of those guys were busts. So I'm just saying, the Jets, right? So the Jets say, you know what? Only 4 people have done this in 51 years. Let's jump on that train. It's an underused thing, guys. Let's jump on the right tackle train. Now, the other factor is positional value. So, okay, let's say you think Sewell is the next coming of Jesus Christ. Split the Red Sea and bring him down the path. Okay, sure. But, again, you can get a right tackle later if you want to get your heart on a right tackle. You can get it 15, 23, 34, wherever. And 15 was just random, but like you can literally get it at any point in the draft. To me, the problem with the Jets offensive line is on the interior. That's where all hell's breaking loose. George Fant was fine, and I think in this new scheme where they're going to be moving the quarterback outside the pocket, I think George Fant's athleticism is great. I think he's going to project even better in this scheme, so I think he'll be fine. So I think using the second overall pick is like wasting your assets because your right tackle's fine. You don't need a right tackle right now.
I think he was okay.
What if you want it? But
I mean, Fant was like people say Fant was okay. I'm trying to find his PFF grade. It's like
yeah, his
62.
PFF grade's horrible.
We don't like PFF. We think they suck. Matt always brings up.
I can't even talk about it. I get so mad.
2015, they ranked Calvin Johnson ahead of Brandon Marshall, even though he had like 17 less catches and like 6 less touchdowns.
So if you find that number, it'll
whatever. Well, my point would be that I think it's easier to find an interior offensive lineman, especially this year in free agency, than it is with finding a right tackle. Because I mean, Taylor Moton is the only guy.
If you got George Fant, then why even fight? It's fine.
Because he's fuck him.
Yeah, he's But okay, so let me ask you this: how many positions on the Jets roster? As opposed
I agree with you on this point.
I
agree with you on this point. I agree with you. I think the Jets have 10 to 11 holes on their roster, and I would be okay with bringing George Fant back as the right tackle.
Yeah.
I just am saying I think Penei Sewell is one of the most impressive players in the draft. I'm not even a huge Sewell guy. I just think if the Jets actually pick with the second pick, I'd be comfortable with Sewell. And probably not with anybody else. Like I don't want the Jets to take Devontae Smith with the second pick because I think you could trade back and take him, Jamar Chase. Like there's a million receivers, and there's a cool free agent receiver class too. So I don't see anyone else that really makes sense at 2 because I don't want to take a quarterback. So I would probably take Sewell at 2. I get it. It's probably not the best use of your assets, especially I think the best case to take Sewell is to trade back to 4 with the Falcons. And then
well,
and then you figure
Miami
it out.
May take him at 3 because they could replace Laramie Tunstall, but again, it's besides
right.
So that's fine. That's your argument, but I just wanted to.
I get it. I don't think it's crazy. I don't think it's insane. Especially, and I heard you talking on the show on Wednesday about Fant and his athleticism is a fair point, and Matt always tweets about it too. Like Fant even played some receiver, was hilarious. They'll split him out and do some stuff. So he's athletic and nimble and. Sure, I don't dislike George Fant, and I don't like to minimize the value of important starting players. That's not my philosophy. So I do think Fant is useful, but I think the Jets should attack interior offensive line in free agency this year.
I agree. I think, again, whether you go Corey Linsley, kick Connor McGovern to guard, or you go guard or go Joe Thuney, there's so many combinations. Before we get to you, Matt, it's not even a trivia thing, but it's just a knowledge thing. It's the last receiver that was taken second overall was Calvin Megatron Johnson. So, I don't know, going Devonta Smith or Jamar Chase is the kind of ground they also want to be breaking there. Matt, give us your mock pick for second overall.
Thank you. And Paul, first, I just want to say thanks again for having us on. Me and Mike have very similar takes all the time, so it's good to have a third year into this conversation. At 2, I'm going to do it with what I think the Jets are going to do here.
Okay.
So I think the safest play would be Justin Fields. That would be the safest. I think what Joe Douglas is going to do is draft Zach Wilson at 2. If my money right now is on something for the Jets to do, it's going to be on Zach Wilson at 2. He talked about in a pre-draft interview that he loves the Shanahan-style offense, even before the Jets even hired Salah on the floor. I think Zach Wilson will give you potentially the highest upside out of anyone in the draft besides Trevor Lawrence. So if you're looking at people have Trey Lance maybe at 2. They have Fields, Wilson. I think Fields is safer. I think he plays against harder competition. I know that argument is oversaturated on Jets Twitter. People get mad if you talk about Zach Wilson's cupcake schedule. Zach Wilson, I think, is going to be the pick at 2, and I'm very excited to talk about the 23rd pick of the draft because I think the Jets are in a tight window of things that they can do with that pick. I think it's very cut and dry what they should do at 23, but I'm going to say the Jets end up taking Zach Wilson number 2 overall.
Okay, you said Fields, right?
Yeah,
no. I think.
Oh, you think the Jets are going to take Wilson, but Fields is.
Oh, is who you would pick.
I got it.
I understand.
I'm gonna for my mock draft. I'm gonna say the Jets take Zach Wilson at 2. That's gonna be my mock draft.
So we're going to snake it all around. I'll just throw mine out there just to mix it up. I'll throw Trey Lance in there because I think he is a dark horse. I think he is in the conversation.
Number 2.
Yeah, number 2. And here's also, and I think I addressed this on the show yesterday on the Play Like a Jet. So to me, whatever quarterback the Jets okay, there's 2 things that could happen. They're going to think one of these guys is a franchise quarterback not named Trevor Lawrence. That's possible. Or they're going to think none of them is a franchise quarterback. In that case, they're trading back. But to me, if you find one of them, I don't care if it's Mac Jones, Kellen Mond, I don't give a flying hoot who you think it is. Okay? If you think that guy's a franchise quarterback, you take him at number 2. I don't play around trading back and potentially losing out on your franchise quarterback. So with that being said, I do have a interview coming up. I'm planning it with a coach from North Dakota State to talk about Trey Lance. So I'm waiting on that. So again, I don't have that knowledge yet. That interview has not been conducted. But I'll go Trey Lance to mix it up. We'll go back to you, Matt, to kind of snake draft it back up. But go ahead and give us your pick for 23.
Yeah, 23, I think there's some positions you just can't take. You can't take quarterback. You can't take an interior defensive line. You can't take an inside linebacker. You can't take a safety. This draft pick, it needs to be O-line, edge, cornerback, and maybe if you love a wide receiver or running back, you take them here. But I'm going to throw those off right now. At corner, I would take J.C. Horn if he falls. I would take Gregory Rousseau, who's been following in the draft from Miami at edge. Or I try to hit on one of those interior offensive linemen. Or if one of the tackles drops, one of the top 3 tackles or top 4, I know Sam Cosmi from Texas might fall there. You have to take one of those positions. If Rashad Bateman gets mocked a lot here, I don't know. If you go after a Curtis Samuel in free agency and you keep Crowder, I don't think you want to clutter Mims up being the 4th receiver. So I would not take a receiver at 23. I always talk about weapons, but at the 23rd pick, give me that number 1 corner. Give me a guy that can get to the quarterback, or give me someone to protect a potential rookie quarterback in Zach Wilson. So those 3 positions, line, edge, and cornerback, I think are the only positions you can touch there.
So your official pick is J.C. Horn, though, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and I'm not mad at that pick. A tall, interesting corner from South Carolina. All right, let's go to you, Mike. 23, who you got?
Yeah, well, again, it depends a lot. Well, so first of all, I would want to trade down. So I have Penei Sewell right now, which I'm happy with. But who knows? It would have got real messy if we didn't do that. I agree with Matt. I think at this pick, you have to – well, it depends what the Jets do in free agency too. So if the Jets go out and sign Allen Robinson, which I don't think they're going to do, or get a number 1 receiver – then you have that guy, Mims, and Crowder. Just keep Crowder and fuck it. Because Crowder's cap hit is $9-10 million, but it's not crazy. Like, you would sign Curtis Samuel for that anyway. So I'd rather just keep Crowder.
Yeah.
So there's guys like Kadarius Toney that are interesting at this pick. Crazy athleticism, speed. But probably not. Let's go for a more stout position. Like if Russo fell, oh my God, the Jets obviously haven't had the real pass rushers since John Abraham. 4 or 5 double-digit sack seasons in the last 20 years, and they're all kind of weird, like Calvin Pace with 10 touch sacks in 2013.
Yeah, weird.
Well, Wilkerson was really good, but he's also an asshole.
But yeah, the Pace thing is strange.
Yeah, so weird stuff. There's a million cornerbacks here. Maybe Sean Wade falls, or you get lucky because there's 6 cornerbacks kind of projected to go in the top round. So if whoever the number 1 corner is, if you put him with Bryce Hall, and then maybe you bring Brian Poole back, or you sign another guy to play the slot, would be nice. Take an edge rusher. Obviously I can't take an offensive lineman here. I already took Sewell. So I would probably go with the number 1 corner on the board, whoever it is, or Rousseau. Let's put my pick as Rousseau. Let's dominate the trenches. That's what I'll go with.
All right. For me, as we kind of snake back around here, I'm intrigued by Azeez Ojulari of Georgia, another great edge rusher.
I just saw him getting mocked to the Jets today.
Yeah,
Tell me about him.
There you go. Azeez makes a lot of sense to me. I'd be intrigued by the interior, and that's ultimately where I'm going. I'm grabbing Trey Smith, and I'm plugging him right next to Mekhi Becton. He's my guard. But again, this is a pre-free agency discussion. Obviously, after free agency, I think a lot could change. The Jets have $75 million in cap space right now. They're going to have even more with more roster finagling that they do. But give me a Hog Malley. Give me someone next to Mekhi Becton that can protect whoever the hell is playing quarterback. But I agree with you guys that, again, edge makes sense. Corner makes sense. I could definitely see that. But I think you need a primo position. I think you could kind of wait. Wide receivers deep. If you want to get it at 34, look at last year. Michael Pittman went in the second round. T. Higgins went in the second round. And people argue this draft was even deeper at wide receiver. So I could see either of those. And like I said, I'd be intrigued if Azeez Ojulari was on the board for the Jets.
So you take the guard and you keep Fant and you try to adjust the other guard in free agency.
So here's let's just again, we're just kind of pontificating here. So let's go through my scenario. So you got Mekhi at left. You draft a Trey Smith and have him at one of the guard spots. So whichever when you do, I cite Corey Linsley. I plug him at center. I kick Connor McGovern to guard. He's played guard in the past. Boom. You had 2 birds with 1 stone. So then you have 2 guards. Connor McGovern, who I think is going to play better with better guys around him. And I also think he's going to just play better at guard. And then
he finished the season strong too. So.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, very much so. So I would be fine if he's brought back at center. If you want to sign Joe Thuney instead and keep Connor McGovern at center, fine. You still have Trey Smith. So I think it's it's one in one hand, one in the other. Either way, I think that works. And you bring back George Fant because I don't want to create another hole. I think Fant's fine. I feel like if I try to replace Fant, then I'm like, okay, I just essentially wasted an asset because I think Fant is fine. So I either waste it because I'm creating a hole that I didn't have. I have enough holes on the team. I'm not trying.
I get that, but it's also what are we paying him? What's Fant's second-year salary?
If you cut him, you save $7 million. If you cut Fant, you save $7 million.
Right. So you would have to. I think I'd rather have. Well, it depends. Yeah, it's convoluted because I could say I'd rather have like Thuney and minus $5 million.
Right.
Fant,
yeah. Right.
But...
So it's a complicated game of moving chess piece around to see. Right. If you could guarantee me I get insert right tackle, maybe I would be open to that. But you can't. So like that's the thing that again that's why. And it's also complicated in a lot of realms because what did the Jets do at guard? So they could cut Alex Lewis, they could cut Greg Van Roten and save somewhere around $8 million by cutting them both. But okay, if you cut him, you got to replace him. Who you
have to have a guard, yeah.
So George Fant, get rid of his ass. Okay, who you replacing him with? That should be the number one question on anyone's mind when you fire a coach. When you move this, okay, you want to fire him, great. What's the answer? Well, I don't know. Well, then, are we sure we should fire him or cut this or do that? That's the thought process that has to go through my mind. So for the draft, so recapping all of our drafts, so you guys can recap your own. But first off, for me at number 2, give me Trey Lance, give me quarterback, if that's what we're going to do there, and then pair him up and protect that mother and throw Trey Smith in there. He's a mauler. He's big, and as long as the medicals are good, I'm good with it. So that's good. Let's go to you, Mike. We'll recap your 2 picks.
I have Penei Sewell and Gregory Rousseau, and look, if the Jets keep Sam and Sam ends up being like even close to Zach Wilson or whoever the Jets don't end up taking a quarterback, I think I easily win the scenario, but obviously that has to happen. So like people are like, if Zach Wilson destroys Sam, then I'm an asshole and I get fired as the GM. But if Sam turns out to be the guy I think he's going to be, and I have 2 unbelievable tackles and a maniac pass rusher at 15.5 sacks in his junior year or whatever his sophomore year, look out. Good luck to the rest of the league.
That's fair. Matt, what about yours, man?
Yeah, I think that Wilson current day is the pick at number 2 that they're going to make, and I'm taking J.C. Horn at 23. Paul, am I allowed to give an honorable mention in the second round?
Oh, absolutely. Please do, and we'll all go around and do it to wrap this up.
All right. Honorable mention, if they don't love an edge here, they don't love an interior offensive line, they cover that in free agency, I'm going Javonte Williams, running back out of UNC.
Oh, you love him.
It's not a popular pick. Travis Etienne scares me from Clemson, and here's why. He's an electric, explosive player. If you watch Clemson, he runs like a maniac, fast, hard every play. He had 800 touches in his college career. Javonte Williams has like 380. So you're getting half the amount of mileage. And Javonte Williams, I can pull it up here. The man, I know UNC had another great running back too, but 7.3 yards a carry, 1,100 yards, 19 touchdowns, 22 total. Like, this guy is a legit number 1 running back that you give the ball 25 plus times a game. I would love for him to be the guy, and you have P. Ryan do the special shit behind him. Give me Javonte Williams in the second round.
And I'll just say this just to jump in terms of tread, and I can understand that argument. Look at Jonathan Taylor last year. He had so many carries and touches at Wisconsin before getting drafted by Indianapolis. So I understand that, and running back lives really are short in general. So, if you're drafting a guy, if you really like him, I can kind of understand that. In ACC country, I cover Syracuse football here. I've seen all of Travis Etienne's entire career. He's a special player, but I understand the concerns that are around him. So let's go back over to you, Mike. Who's your honorable mention? 34th overall. I was drooling about it on the Sunday show. I love that pick. To me, resetting day number 1 and heading into day number 2,
So
all
much
the
fun.
players that kind of fall, I'm in love. I can't wait. I always wanted the Jets to trade up to that pick. Now they don't have to. They're just sitting there.
They're there. They're there. Well, it's
So,
interesting.
yeah.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be a maniac, and I'm going to take the top interior offensive lineman and really destroy people. So I'll take – it's funny. I'm reading some mocks, like Trey Smith gets mocked 34. So who knows? I could take him there. The one thing I say with Javonte Williams, which scares me, is the other running back in North Carolina was also insane. The guy, Michael Carter.
Yeah.
Like we were saying, I mean, 8 yards a carry for both of them. So is it the offensive line? Like, is it the scheme? Is it really Javonte Williams? But then you watch Javonte Williams breaking 18 tackles and, you know, running like a 4.4. So, but I'll double down on my offensive line. And then I guess, because the thing is, we keep saying, you know, we could push back some of these positions like wide receiver, running back. Eventually you have to fill these holes, and it might be better to take, you know, a guy earlier than later. I'm going to beef up my offensive line. Now I have Becton. I have Trey Smith. I have McGovern. I'll fill the other guard spot in free agency. I have Sewell. Oh my God, we have the top 5 offensive line in football. Go out and get me. And now you can spend all the money you want wherever. We have our pass rusher too. You don't have to worry about that. You go out and you sign a corner. Maybe the Jets get someone cheap that's a little bit older, like Richard Sherman or Patrick Peterson. Put him with Bryce Hall. Maybe this Javelin Guidry guy plays well in the slot. And then, my God, the Jets have a vicious front, and then Sam has time to throw, and the Jets could run the ball, and you can go out and get like a bargain running back, Jamal Williams or something, and and put him with P. Ryan and put him with Ty Johnson and say fuck it.
Yeah, there you go. Again, that would be an intriguing possibility. Let me see, as I'm looking at the available board here, who can I jump in? I'm going to jump on the wide receiver train. But again, I think a lot of this can depend on what they decide to do. Obviously, in free agency, if they go big game hunting and go after one of the guys that they shake free without the franchise tag, A-Rob, Galladay, Godwin. I love Godwin. That's the potential. I don't think he's scratched what he could do in the NFL yet. But give me I'm going to go Rondale Moore out of Purdue. I think he's intriguing. He's a little smaller, so I get it if people want to complain about that. But, the fact of the matter is, depending on free agency, give me a weapon. So I have some protection up front for the new quarterback who, in theory, in my crazy mock, would be Trey Lance. You get protection of Trey Smith up front. Now you give him a weapon, a toy to play with, and Rondale Moore. I think that could be a lot of fun. Like I said, I am probably overexcited about the 34th overall pick. I don't think I could be excited enough about what that could be.
It's like a first-round pick.
Yeah, man, and that's how I look at it. And I know some people say it's a second-round pick, but to me, I don't give a flying hoot. To me, that's a first-round pick, and the Jets should treat it like that. That could be a high-impact starter. All right, guys, I want to this is the first time we've ever done this before, so we've made history. You guys answered random trivia. I've never done that before. That was fun and also weird, and here we all are. Matt, Mike, you guys can follow them on Twitter, NYJ_Matt, NYJ Mike as well. Make sure you guys hit them up. Boys, thank you so much for breaking new history here on Mock Draft Monday. I appreciate it.
Oh, this was awesome. We got to do it again. We'll have you on our show on the Broadway Jets pod.
Hey, man.
We'll ask you some ridiculous questions and hypotheticals.
Oh, there you go. I'm sure that I'm going to get it back tenfold now after doing what I did to both of you, and I look forward to it, and I also do not look forward to it whatsoever. So, guys, thank you so much for joining me. Anytime, we'll make it happen for sure. Thanks again, Mike, and thanks again, Matt.
Awesome. Thank you, man.
Appreciate it, buddy.